I'm like super excited about that. But what's amazing is this is just opening the door for us to do more extended observations in the future GEO series for GeoXO. And in that series, we're going to go and actually do things in atmospheric composition. We're going to do things in ocean color and really push the boundaries in environmental intelligence. So this is just the beginning with GOES-U that happens to have SEACOR, but our next generation of GeoXO, it's going to have some amazing instruments in there. But the other thing I don't want to forget that GOES-U is still doing is for weather prediction, right? It is the bread and butter for hurricane forecasts, for lightning, for fire weather, all of those things this satellite is capable of doing. So it's just going to be amazing to see this fourth bird launch.
Thank you so much. Awesome stuff today and awesome stuff ahead. Thank you so much, Irene. Back to you, Daryl.
Thank you both very much. T-minus 15 minutes and counting. When you get your local weather forecast, chances are data from GOES satellites help create it. And no one knows that better than meteorologist Ginger Zee.
Hi there, Ginger Zee here at the Good Morning America studios in the Weather Center. We've got a whole team of meteorologists, and I know that atmospheric scientists all over the country and the world are excited for GOES-U. I know we are. Of course, that high-res everything. We're going to look at that lightning data. We're so excited for the aerosol information. It's just going to help forecast. And of course, we cover all of the biggest disasters, the wildfires, all the way to hurricanes. GOES-U is going to be wonderful. I've been talking to the space weather folks, and that coronagraph, ooh, having a dedicated peek at the sun every single day, GOES-U is going to be big. And we can't wait for this launch. So go NOAA, go NASA, and go GOES-U.
All right, whenever there's a big launch, we have thousands of people joining us. But real quick about the Ginger Zee thing. I mean, she talked about aerosols. Aerosols are detected on GOES-U, but it's going to be really big in the next generation, right?
Oh, that's right. Atmospheric composition instrument on GeoXO. We'll be able to see it even better.
All right, looking forward to that. Whenever there's a big launch, we have thousands of people visiting the Space Coast to feel and see the rocket firsthand, including a very special group that we want to show you right now. A special group. There they are, about 80 middle school students. How are they doing? Giving us a big old wave there. They're here as part of the Students to Launch initiative, and they got a lot of energy. This is in partnership with NASA. These middle school students have traveled from all over the country to see today's launch, including as far north as New York and Maine, as far west as Nebraska and North Dakota, and south to Texas. Students to Launch educates and inspires students across the U.S. to understand the challenges and objectives of spaceflight missions, which can sometimes lead to careers in aerospace and astronautics. And that has to be one of the most enthusiastic groups I've ever seen at launch.
No, they were at my hotel this morning.
Oh, they were?
Very excited. Yeah, breakfast was a blast.
And so are you excited?
Oh, yeah, we're getting close. I can't believe it.
T-minus 13 minutes, just under 13 minutes and counting. There you see the rocket there. We've got a little bit of time to take a few more social questions. So let's pop one of those up now. You've been doing a great job, Alec, answering all of those. The question is, coming from Space Gal, why the U in the GOES-U name?
Oh, on the grounds, the sequence that we name them is letters. So we've had the GOES-R series has had GOES-R, ST. Now we're at U. And so once it reaches geostationary orbit, it'll be renamed GOES-19.
It's just part of the nomenclature about how you name it on the ground and what happens to it when it goes into space.
Yeah.
And we have a few more questions to get answered here as we look and watch the Falcon Heavy on the pad there, getting ready to go from Launch Pad 39A.
It's cooking.
Yep. That's that LOX that's condensing the warm air in the atmosphere. All right, so we have Samuelo asks, how long will this spacecraft be in operation?
Okay, so the operational life is 10 years. We expect performance longer than that. It's planned for a period of on-orbit storage, and so we should have 15 years of use, but really we expect it to be even a little bit longer than that as long as fuel usage goes okay.
It was fascinating. I heard in the press conference yesterday, they said that additional performance comes from the fact that that Falcon Heavy right there has a lot of performance in it for this satellite, so it could stretch it out another 5 years, as you mentioned.
That's right. It'll save us. It could save us a lot of life, and yeah, we will still have our GOES-R series satellites well into the 2030s.
All right, keep those questions coming. Use the hashtag AskNASA. We'll have time for one more question if we can pop that up. as we count down T-minus 11 minutes and counting. Why Falcon Heavy and not Falcon 9?
Oh, man, this is a big satellite, and we're going to a big orbit to get up to geostationary 22,236 miles above the Earth. We need a big ride, and so what else than the Falcon Heavy?
Yeah, and I heard somebody from the Launch Services Program during yesterday's press conference say that Falcon 9 is right there at the limit of the weight of the GOES-U satellite, so that Falcon Heavy gives it the additional performance it needs to go up. And so with just a few more minutes left, your thoughts, Alec, as we get down, ready to count the final minutes before liftoff.
Oh, man, I'm bottled up. I can't wait to see it. It represents such a legacy for the program, and we're all excited to see this come together through the launch today.
All right, Alec and I are headed outside to watch the launch, and so we'll send it out to Megan and Mick for the remainder of the count and liftoff, and we'll see you again after the first burn of the second stage. Take it away.
Yeah, here we are at under 10 minutes from launch. Mick and I are going nowhere. We're staying inside here, inside the Mission Director Center, inside Hangar AE at nearby Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, because this is where we continue to monitor the launch team as we march towards that T0 of 5:26 p.m. Eastern Time here on the Florida Space Coast. So right now, Mick, the spacecraft team is beginning to transition the spacecraft to internal power. That's going to take a couple of minutes, right?
Yeah, spacecraft's working their procedures, verifying the health of the spacecraft, getting everything ready. They'll then transition around T-minus 6 minutes, 5 minutes. They'll transition to internal power, finish up that procedure, disconnecting from the ground power at the pad, and getting ready for launch today.
So the last time you guys were with us, the launch team has begun loading super cold liquid oxygen into the Heavy second stage. That happened at T-minus 18 minutes. The next major fueling milestone, that's expected at T-minus 7 minutes, and that's when SpaceX will chill down the Heavy's 27 engines on the boosters to get ready for engine startup.
Yeah, just like we talked about on the strong back, the team needs to chill down those engines so that we don't provide a thermal shock to all 27 engines. A lot of power there. We heard Daryl and Alec talking about that, getting GOES-U on its way. That's a very heavy satellite, so right on the cusp of a Falcon 9, but this Falcon Heavy is going to give a lot of performance today. And we're finishing up, Megan, as we're looking at the telemetry here. RP1 on the first stage is coming to fill levels, and LOX on the first stage is almost complete, and second stage LOX is about 50%. So we're proceeding very well with full fuel loading today, and things are going good.
That's awesome. And speaking of weather, we are launching a weather satellite, so we should talk about the launch weather. And we've been watching that in the hours leading up to our launch today. And right now we have great news to report. Launch weather is go for launch. We have found a hole within the some of the storms that are around our area. Launch Weather Officer Brian Cizik again confirming that we have found an opportunity to launch today at 5:26 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, that team worked very quickly. Brian has definitely been very busy this afternoon, but working with Charlie Meyer, the SpaceX launch director, and Dr. Denton Gibson, the NASA launch manager, they moved our window 10 minutes, and they were able to find that sweet spot in the weather today to get things done. And we're hearing that RP1 loading is complete on one of the side boosters, and things are still progressing to completion of loading the Falcon Heavy.
In total, we are going to be loading 2.8 million pounds of propellant into the Falcon Heavy rocket that you see on Launch Pad 39A here at Kennedy Space Center. Again, so far we've heard call-outs that RP1 loading has been completed in the center booster as well as one of the side boosters. We expect to hear a call-out that the third and final booster will be completed for fueling of RP1.
Yep, the team's still progressing, looking at the telemetry on the launch vehicle. Things are progressing very well. The data
negative Y, fuel load complete.
And there we hear the negative Y, fuel load complete. So two side boosters and center core are complete with RP1, and they're finishing off liquid oxygen tanking into those three boosters. We should hear that here shortly, that LOX load will be complete as the spacecraft gets ready to go on internal power and continues processing their GOES-U satellite.
As with the spacecraft, we are also expecting the launch vehicle right now to be transitioning to internal power. Again, we are launching GOES-U today, the fourth and final weather satellite in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's GOES-R series of satellites. And once operational, GOES-U will become GOES-East and provide continuous imagery and atmospheric measurements of the Western Hemisphere. It will monitor weather and environmental conditions in near real time, which is really critical for weather forecasting and severe storm tracking. T-minus 5 minutes and 10 seconds to liftoff.
Falcon Heavy tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
There we hear the tanks being pressurized for retract, that strong back or transport erector as we use to transport out. The strong back will begin retracting here shortly, and what you will see at the top of the vehicle is those arms that are around the just below the payload fairing will open up, and once those open
Strong
up,
back lower has started.
the strong back will then tip back slightly a few degrees, getting ready for launch this morning. And then as liftoff occurs, the strong back will fall back a little more to get out of the way as the Falcon Heavy leaves Launch Complex 39A.
Next up, NASA launch manager's go, no go poll, the final check to make sure the NASA team is ready for a launch that's expected in 5 seconds.
NLM, it's the LD on the NLM net with a final status check.
LD, everything's looking good on our end.
Copy that. Thank you.
Thumbs up from NASA, again, confirming that weather, right, was the big watch item, and that is not a constraint to launch right now.
Yep, the team has looked at all the data. Things continue to progress very well. Weather looks really good out there.
NY
and
Dr. on countdown 1.
Dr. Gibson says things are good.
NASA is go for launch.
There we hear the final go for launch from Dr. Denton Gibson on the countdown net, and LOX load on one of the side boosters. There we hear the second call for LOX load complete on the 2 side boosters. LOX load is finishing up in the center core of the first stage booster, and then finishing up as we get down close to T0, the LOX load on second stage. So things progressing very well, Megan.
I do want to mention that Dr. Denton Gibson, this is his first launch as launch manager.
Yes, very happy to have him there. He has been doing very well as he stepped into the NOM position from his mission management position, and very happy to have him on console today as our launch manager for the GOES-U mission.
Stage 1, LOX load complete.
And there we hear the call out for stage 1. All 3 boosters now have RP1 and LOX on board, so we are just waiting for the remaining LOX to fill into the second stage LOX tank, and Falcon Heavy will be tanked and ready for launch.
And we expect them to finish fueling the second stage with liquid oxygen in about 20 seconds. With this
Stage
call out,
2, LOX load complete.
the Falcon Heavy rocket is completely filled with 2.8 million pounds of propellant.
Team has done very well to get to this point. We are so happy of everything's going, and as you can see on the screen right there, weather outside at Launch Complex 39 looks very good. We're about 1 minute and 50 seconds from launch, and the team's progressing down to get the flight computer ready to take over the launch vehicle. As you see there, Megan, the liquid oxygen being vented out, the plume from the humidity here in Florida. We get to see that. Looks like it breathes, and we just heard the call out for ground gas closeouts, which is finalizing and venting the ground lines that fill the pressure vessels in the Falcon Heavy, so that they're closing off all the ground connections, turning everything over to internal, getting the Falcon Heavy ready for liftoff.
And in a few seconds, we will arm the flight termination system and Falcon will be in startup. Seconds before liftoff.
SpaceX launch director, go for launch.
All systems are go to send NOAA's GOES-U satellite into space to keep a watchful eye over the Western Hemisphere, helping scientists and meteorologists to issue timely warnings and forecasts.
T-minus 30 seconds.
This will be NASA's Launch Services Program's 16th mission for NOAA.
Great partnership over the years we've had. Looking forward to this launch.
15 seconds.
And here we go. 10,
T-minus 10.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go you.
Liftoff of GOES-U, NOAA's newest weather satellite, to monitor the Earth and Sun in high definition.
Hear that all pressures. Engines look nominal. Things looking good as you see the Falcon Heavy soaring towards the heavens. All 27 engines powerfully lifting GOES-U on its trajectory and ascent into space.
A beautiful shot as we
Power
track
and telemetry nominal.
the rocket from the ground here. The rocket is now powering down for max Q. Max Q is the moment of maximum dynamic pressure on the rocket. Max Q expected at 1 minute 7 seconds. The vehicle is now supersonic,
Falcon Heavy is supersonic.
traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q.
There we heard the call for max Q, maximum dynamic pressure on the Falcon Heavy. Vehicle still performs very well. All data looks nominal.
A great shot from on board the rocket, looking down on the Earth that it is leaving. And all 27 Merlin engines providing 5.1 million pounds of thrust. Coming up at T plus 2 minutes and 28 seconds, the side boosters are going to shut off while the center core will continue on. Wow, what a shot there of, again, all 27 Merlin engines firing off. 5.1 million pounds of thrust.
The side booster cutoff will be referred to as BECO. We'll hear that call out. And then when the center core shuts off later in flight, we'll hear that called as main engine cutoff, or MECO. Side boosters are performing, all boosters are performing nominally. Everything's looking good with the 27 Merlin engines.
Side booster separation confirmed.
There we see BECO and side booster.
MVAC chill.
Side booster separation. The MVAC is being chilled down, getting ready for ignition once the center core.
NY boost back startup.
And there we heard the call out for boost back startup.
A lot of things happening here. So again, we have the 2 boosters that are going to be returning to the Cape here, landing at landing zones 1 and 2. These 2 boosters have 3 burns, so we're seeing a boost back burn
All
now.
vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
Essentially, these boosters have flipped back and are returning on a path to the Cape here. There will be 2 more burns, a re-entry burn and then a landing burn. And these are going to provide quite a show for folks that are here on the Space Coast, because you're going to hear those sonic booms, Mick.
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking forward to those sonic booms as the side boosters land at landing zone 1 and 2. We're about 26 seconds away from main engine cutoff and the center core separating. Once the center core separates, we will then have MVAC, which is the Merlin vacuum engine for space, start up and get ready for what we call SES-1. Number 1. Today we have 3 burns for this mission to get GOES-U on its way, and this will be the
boost back shutdown.
first of those 3 burns.
TY boost back shutdown.
There we hear the 2 side boosters have boost back shutdown.
MECO.
And
Stage
now we're going to
separation
watch
confirmed.
live footage there. There you go, of MECO. Again, the core
And back ignition.
booster separating from the second stage, and the MVAC engine on that second stage lighting up. You see that on the right side of your screen.
We're about 4 seconds from fairing deployment.
Fairing again is the two
All vehicles continue to
halves.
follow nominal trajectories.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there we have confirmation the fairing has deployed. The fairings are brand new fairings for the GOES-U mission, and they will fall back to Earth and be recovered by the recovery ship Doug. But SpaceX will look to reuse those fairings on a future flight, along with the side boosters. As we see there, they're coming back to Earth to land on landing zone 1 and 2. So things are progressing very well here. We are about a minute and 23 seconds from what we call the entry burn, where the plus Y and NY side boosters will fire up their engines to start slowing down the vehicle as it gets ready for landing.
Yeah, a lot to watch. Again, the left side of your screen, we are tracking the boosters that are coming back to the Cape here. On the right side of your screen, that is the MVAC engine on the second stage that continues to burn as it makes its way into the correct orbit to drop off GOES-U later today.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
There we hear the autonomous flight termination system was saved as it returns back to Earth, making sure the vehicle is in a proper configuration for landing.
The second stage is currently taking GOES-U across the Atlantic towards southern Africa. And this is the first time, actually, a GOES satellite is launching on a Falcon Heavy. Only the second time NASA's Launch Services Program is using a Falcon Heavy.
Yeah, we launched our first Falcon Heavy with SpaceX back in October of 23 with the Psyche mission. And the side boosters actually that we used on the Psyche mission will be used for our future mission, Europa Clipper, this October. So brand new hardware today for GOES-U, and everything looks like it's performing very well. All the telemetry, everything looks nominal for the flight so far today.
Yeah, those who typically watch our launch broadcasts.
Entry burn startup.
There
That
we heard the
is-
call out for entry burn startup. The vehicles are slowing. You can imagine this as a brake on your car where it starts slowing the boosters back down very quickly as they...
EY entry burn shut down.
And there we hear the shutdown as the boosters have slowed down. Next thing we will see is the landing burn
NY FTS is saved.
at landing zone 1 and 2.
Beautiful
All
imagery
vehicles continue
again
to follow nominal trajectories.
from the ground as we track those boosters make their way back to the Cape. We saw some birds fly into the camera's view as
Hey,
well.
Everybody wants to see the landing
Exactly.
of the side boosters. As we said earlier, Megan, the landing will be exciting for a lot of people to see. Getting 2 side boosters coming back to landing zone 1 and 2, we will get those sonic booms. I know that you here in the MDC, we will get some.
NY transonic.
We will
Stage
get
2 FTS is saved.
we will get some loud shaking right here in the Mission Director Center. I know a lot of people right here in Brevard will be excited when they hear the sonic booms.
EY
my-
landing burn.
Landing burns has
Stage
started
2
up.
terminal guidance.
Wow, look at that. As it guides its way back down. Woo! Just heard the 2 sonic booms here in the room.
EY landing light deploy.
Our monitors
that.
shaking
That
as we
looks
watch
amazing.
these 2
That is
boosters
just
land.
awesome to see the 2 side boosters choreograph their way down to landing zone 1 and 2.
NY landing confirmed.
We have successful landing of the 2 side boosters. Everybody looks great on the landing zone 1 and 2 as MVAC continues its mission with this
Seco.
first burn. And there we heard the call out for SECO, which is SECO 1, second stage engine cutoff for this first burn. And things look very
Nominal
good. The
orbit
trajectory
insertion.
looks, we hear the call out there that nominal orbit insertion, everything looks great on the second stage performance for this first burn, Megan.
Yeah, and what you're looking at